Hi, I'm Zach, and this is Challenger Vedic Astrology and Tarot. Welcome to the channel. So, today we're going to be talking about Sun's transit into Pisces and Mars transit into Aquarius. And if you like my videos, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out me in the channel. If you'd like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart, a personal tarot reading, or an astrology consultation, links to those will be in the description box and the comments below. Okay, so Sun and Mars are moving signs at pretty much the exact same time. Sun will move into Pisces March 14th until April 13th. And Mars will be in Aquarius from March 15th until April 22nd. Okay, so Sun's your focus. Now, Sun's going to be in one sign, in Pisces. And Mars is your energy and drive. It's going to be in Aquarius. So they're separate now. But we're going to go over this for each zodiac sign. Now, when you're watching these videos, look from your Vedic Sidereal Ascendant, Moon, and Sun sign. These aren't your Western tropical placements. So, if you don't know your Vedic Sidereal placements, you can, look up a Vedic Sidereal birth chart calculator online, or you can get a more detailed Vedic Sidereal birth chart from me. Okay, but let's get into it. Okay, so we're kicking this off with Aries. Alright, Aries. So, Sun's your focus. It's now in the 12th house. So, 12th house of Pisces. And it's there with Mercury and Rahu. Alright, so 12th house is foreign lands, foreign people. It's spirituality. It's anywhere you feel isolated. Jails, hospitals, asylums. It's losses. It's investments. It's bed pleasure, sex, and sleep. So, what do we see with this? Well, you're definitely going to be focused on investments and losses during this transit, especially because of what we see with Mars. So definitely you're focused on how to prevent losses during this transit, or how to make money from investments. But, especially if you're spiritually inclined, I definitely see a focus on spirituality. Now, I'm not seeing so much foreign travel right now for you. Not with your other transits that you have going on. But, definitely spirituality and finances. Now, let's look at Mars. So, Mars is transiting in your 11th house in Aquarius, with Venus and Saturn. 11th house is gains. It's gain of status. It's second from the 10th house. It's your elder sibling. It's your friends. It's your paternal aunts and uncles. It's large organizations. It's your hopes, wishes, desires. And it's large gatherings like conferences. So, Mars is energizing this house, energizing your gains. So definitely you're making more money than usual. Especially with it being there with Venus. But, some things that we see, especially with Saturn being there, there can be conflict with friends. There can be conflict with your elder sibling, your paternal aunts and uncles. There can also be health issues that happen for them. Because Mars and Saturn are two malefics. So we do see that health issues could be there. But when it comes to finances, this is a very good transit for you. Now, let's look at the aspects of Mars. Mars has a 4th, a 7th, and an 8th aspect. So, fourth aspect of conquest is falling on your second house. Second house is your earnings, your savings, your family. So definitely we see that you're gaining a lot financially, and that's going into your earnings, your savings. So once again, financially, a very good transit. Now, what we do see is you can be overly domineering with the family. We already see there might be conflict with your elder sibling and with your paternal aunts and uncles. So not only that, but there can be conflict with the family in general. Now, seventh aspect of Mars is confrontational. It's falling on the fifth house. Fifth house is your education and its children. It's your students, subordinates at work. So, we do see there could be conflict with people in your education. This could be with your teachers, with fellow students. And if you have students or subordinates under you, you can get into conflicts with them. If you have children, you can get into conflicts with your children. Or even with other people's children. Hopefully not. Alright. Now the eighth aspect brings sun ups and downs and transformation. It's falling on your sixth house. So, sixth house is debt. It's health issues. It's your maternal aunts and uncles. It's your coworkers, your enemies. It's your pets. It's your everyday work, everyday routines. So there can be sudden changes with your maternal aunts and uncles, with your pets. There can be a sudden change. Maybe with you gaining all this money, you're able to take care of some of your debt. But like I said, financially, this is a very good transit. Now, for the people in your life, especially family, could be, family and friends, honestly, it could be a bit rough. But alright, that's what I have for you, Aries. Taurus. Alright, Taurus. Sun has moved into Pisces, your 11th house. So you're focused on gains, gain of status, especially with Mars in the 10th. Okay. And Sun's also there with Mercury. So Mercury is just increasing, that communication, that interactivity when it comes to achieving those gains. Also, it could be something going on with a friend too, with your elder sibling, your paternal aunts and uncles, where you're focused on that as well. Now, Mars is in the 10th, energizing the 10th house. 10th house is your workplace. It's your status, your career. It's your karmic actions that the world notices. So even if you're retired, your actions would be noticed by people. So, with Mars energizing this and Sun in the 11th house of gain, definitely we see there's a big focus on career at this time. But Mars is there with Venus and Saturn. There can definitely be conflict at work. Conflict with coworkers, conflict with managers, bosses. So I'd say be careful of that. But overall, Mars and Saturn conjunct makes someone a workhorse. With that being in your 10th house of career and status, it can definitely lead to progressing in your career. Now, let's talk about the aspects of Mars. Mars has a 4th, a 7th, and an 8th aspect. So the 4th aspect of conquest is falling in the 1st house. 1st house is you, your physical health, your body. So, you want to conquer yourself. You want to become more disciplined. You want to get healthier. So, working out, dieting, making sure you're on top of your health so that you can do that work that you need to do. 7th aspect brings confrontation. It's falling on the 4th house. So, you can get into conflicts with people in your home or with your mother. The 8th aspect of Mars brings sudden ups and downs and transformation. It's falling on the 5th house. 5th house is romance, fun and games, education, children, speculative gains. So that can be gambling, stock market. So we do see there could be a big change when it comes to your children, if you have children, with your education. Also, 5th house is 8th from the 10th house. So it's the sudden change of the career. This could also mean change of job. So if you're looking to get a new job, this could be a good time. All right, moving on to Gemini. Okay, Gemini. So Sun's your focus, and it's in Pisces, your 10th house. 10th house is career, status. It's your workplace, your managers, your bosses. So during this time, your focus is on your career. 10th house is also your karmic actions that the world notices. So even if you're retired, you're focused on your reputation, what people think about you. Do people think highly of you? What kind of legacy will you leave? That kind of thing. Now, Mars, Venus, and Saturn are all in your 9th. So Mars is energizing the 9th house. 9th house is your father figures, your mentors, teachers, gurus. It's higher education. It's religion, philosophy, the law. It's long distance travel, publishing. So what we see with this is there can be conflict with your father figure, with your teachers. There can be conflict over religion, philosophy. There could be legal battles here with this. Especially because 2 malefics are there, Mars and Saturn. Your father figure, your teachers, they could have health issues during this transit. That's another thing that we see. And Sun is also in the 10th house. 10th house is a secondary house of father. So definitely there could be a big focus on your father during this transit. So if you know your father is in bad health, do your best to take care of him, help him out. Now, there could also be travel, especially related to work, because your focus is on the 10th house of work, career, and status. Your 9th house of higher education is being energized. It's being energized while you're focused on your work. So definitely, there can be education tied to your career. There can be travel tied to your career. But there will be difficulties with travel as well because of that Mars-Saturn conjunction. There could be delays when it comes to taking a trip. Now let's talk about the aspects of Mars. Mars has a 4th, a 7th, and an 8th aspect. So 4th aspect is all about conquest. It's falling on the 12th house. 12th house is losses, foreign travel, foreign lands, it's investments. It's anywhere you feel isolated, jails, hospitals, asylums. It's foreign people, it's multinational companies. It's bed pleasure, sex and sleep. So we definitely see that you're going to want to overcome any financial losses. You're going to want to travel, especially with Mars in the 9th house, aspecting the 12th, and the 3rd house, which we'll get to in a second. Definitely there's a big focus on travel. And if you work for a multinational company, then of course you want to conquer that multinational company. You want to rise to a higher position. So we see all that's there. And also, if you're focused on religion and spirituality, Mars is in the 9th house of religion, aspecting the 12th house of spirituality. So definitely religious and spiritual pursuits can be there as well. But especially when it comes to foreign people, you can be overly domineering. When it comes to spiritual people, you can be overly domineering. So try not to. Now, 7th aspect of Mars falls on the 3rd house. 3rd house is writing. It's, why do I mention writing? Well, Mars is in the 9th house of publishing. You could be publishing an article during this transit, maybe tied to your education. As part of your education. But third house is, communication of all kinds. It's the internet. So don't go being a keyboard warrior online. Third house is your neighbors, your cousins, younger siblings. So there can be conflict with these people. There could be confrontations with them. So just be aware of that. Now the 8th aspect of Mars is falling on the 4th house. 8th aspect brings sudden ups and downs and transformation. So there could be a sudden change with your home, your land, real estate, with vehicles, with your mother, with your comfort and your happiness. There could be sudden changes tied to this. Maybe you're renovating the home. Maybe you're making an addition. Maybe you're getting a new home. There could be a big change with your mother during this transit. You could be getting a new car. Or just having a car repaired. But alright, that's what I have for you, Leo. Or, Leo. Gemini. I don't know, maybe you're dealing with a Leo. Alright, moving on to Cancer. Alright, Cancer, I need a drink. 1 second. Okay. So, Sun has moved into Pisces, your 9th house. Sun's your focus. 9th house is your father. Mentors, teachers, gurus. It's higher education, religion, philosophy, the law. Long distance travel, publishing. So, we see your focus is here. And it's with Rahu. Definitely can show travel. But I think mainly, for most of you, your focus is going to be on education during this transit. Possibly religion as well. Now, why do I say that? Well, Mars is in the 8th house. Energizing the 8th house. With Venus and Saturn. So 8th house is the occult. It's joint finances in business and relationships. It's your in-laws. It's research. It's bed pleasure. Sex in particular with the 8th house. It's sudden ups and downs, transformation, and yes, it can be death. It can be taxes. So what we see with this, if your father has been in bad health, father could have passed away. A mentor could have passed away. Because Mars is energizing the 8th house. Your focus is on the 9th house. Focused on the father, focused on the teacher. So, if you already know, that you've been going through that, then I'm just confirming what you already know. Now, also, Sun's focused on 9th house of religion, philosophy. 8th house is the occult. So definitely, you could be practicing, occult tied to your religion or something. Also, focused on the 9th house of education. The 8th house of research is being energized. So you could be doing research tied to your education. There could be sudden travels that are taking place. If you're focused on the 9th house of travel, there's sudden changes happening. And Sun's with Rahu. There's about to be an eclipse here. But another thing that we see, Mars and Saturn being in the 8th house. There can be trouble with your in-laws. Your in-laws can be going through a difficult time. They could be having health issues. There could be financial issues for them or for, your joint finances in a relationship or in business. But Mars in the 8th house is actually good for joint finances. It can increase your joint finances. But with Saturn being there, there can be difficulty. Now, let's talk about the aspects of Mars. Mars has a 4th, a 7th, and an 8th aspect. 4th aspect is all about conquest, and it's falling on the 11th house. So 11th house is your paternal aunts and uncles. It's your elder siblings. It's your friends. Large network circles, large organizations, large gatherings. It's your hopes, wishes, desires. It's your gains. Gain of status, because it's 2nd from the 10th. So, definitely, you can be overly domineering with your elder siblings, with your paternal aunts and uncles, especially if you're dealing with inheritance matters, because Mars is in the 8th house of inheritance. There can be sudden gains that you want to, achieve during this. But definitely you can be overly domineering with your friends as well. So be careful with that. Now, 7th aspect brings confrontation. It's falling on your 2nd house. 2nd house is your family. So definitely there could be conflict with your family. The 8th aspect is falling on the 3rd house. 8th aspect brings sudden ups and downs and transformation. 3rd house is your younger siblings. It's your cousins, your neighbors. It's communication of all kinds, including writing. It's sports. It's your skills. It's your effort. Short distance travel. So there can be sudden changes with all this. There can be a sudden change with your younger siblings, with your cousins. There can be sudden changes with, media, if you're, in the media business, marketing, sales. There can be sudden change in your efforts in learning new skills. But alright, that's what I have for you, Cancer. Leo, Sun, your focus is in the 8th house, in Pisces. So, 8th house is joint finances and relationships and business. It's your in-laws. It's taxes. It's inheritance. So yes, it's also a house of death. Death and taxes, right? It's sudden ups and downs, transformation. It's the occult. It's sex. It's research. So, right now your focus is on all these things. While Mars is energizing the 7th house with Venus and Saturn. 7th house is relationships. It's business. It's all the people you meet out in the world. So mainly, it's relationships and business. So, energizing relationships. Focused on sex. Focused on joint finances. Focused on the in-laws. So, we definitely, when we combine these, we see what's going on. Now, definitely, Mars energizing your 7th house, there can be conflict in relationships, especially with it being there with Venus and Saturn. There can be a need to be more committed in relationships. Like, are you going to take the relationship to the next level with your partner? Are you going to move in together? Saturn's requiring you to work when it comes to your relationship, when it comes to your business. There can be difficulty there. But alright, let's talk about the aspects though. Mars has a 4th, a 7th, and an 8th aspect. 4th aspect is falling on your 10th house. So, one thing to mention with the 7th house is it's also 10th from the 10th house. It's the higher form of status and career, and Mars is energizing that, with Saturn being there and Venus. And now it's aspecting the 10th house of career and status, with its 4th aspect of conquest. So definitely there can be a big, focus, a lot of energy going into your career during this transit. You want to conquer your career, conquer your workplace. You can be overly domineering with your bosses, your managers, your coworkers, with people at work. And definitely there could be conflict with other people that you meet because of Mars and Saturn in the 7th house. Another thing I want to mention real quick before continuing with the aspects is Mars and Saturn in the 7th house, especially with Venus. Your spouse could be going through a difficult time during this transit. There can definitely be, some health issues or just difficulty in general with those two malefics in the 7th house. Okay. Now, the 7th aspect of Mars is falling on the ascendant. You. So, 7th aspect is all about confrontation. Lots of people are going to be getting into conflict with you. So try to keep your head down. Is what I can tell you, Leo. Now, 8th aspect of Mars brings sudden ups and downs and transformation. It's falling on the 2nd house. A family, earnings, savings. So there can be a sudden change in your finances and with your family. Okay, that's what I have for you, Leo. Virgo. Alright, Virgo. Sun is in the 7th house with Mercury and Rahu. Sun's your focus. So you are focused on relationships, focused on business. 7th house is also 10th from the 10th house. Higher form of status and career. So also focused on that. Now, while you're focused here, your energy and drive is in the 6th house. With Mars. Mars is there with Venus and Saturn. So, 6th house is your everyday work, everyday routines. It's health issues, accidents. It's debt. It's your maternal aunts and uncles. It's your pets. It's your enemies. So what we see with this is you could be taking on more debt during this transit. You can definitely be getting into conflict with your coworkers. You can get into conflict with people in your workplace in general. There can be health issues for you and for your maternal aunts and uncles. Your maternal aunts and uncles can be going through a hard time in general. With Mars and Saturn, two malefics, being in the 6th house. Same with your pets. Your pets could be having health issues during this transit. There could be accidents. So be careful. Okay. But conflict in particular in relationships can be there because you're focused on the 7th house of relationships. Now, another thing I want to say is, all this is energizing the 12th house from the 7th house. So 7th house is your customers, right? It's business. So 12th from that is the loss of your customer. Your customer's loss is your gain. You're making money from them spending money. So, for business in particular, this is a very good transit. Okay, now let's talk about the aspects of Mars. Mars has a 4th, a 7th, and an 8th aspect. So, 4th aspect of conquest is falling on the 9th house. 9th house is religion, philosophy, law. It's your father figures, your mentors, teachers, gurus. It's long distance travel. It's publishing. So, especially if you're dealing with legal matters, you could want to conquer the law. Mars in the 6th house is energizing. This is the 6th house of disputes. So that can definitely be legal matters as well. But you can be overly domineering with your father figures, with your teachers. 9th house is also higher education. Almost bit my tongue. Hey, leave me alone. I may be your teacher, but I don't need that. Oh, damn. Okay. Alright. Oh, gosh. Alright. But yeah, you could want to travel during this time to escape, dealing with 6th house matters. You're tired of that shit. You just want to get away. Especially with the next aspect that we see. With the 7th aspect, Mars is aspecting the 12th house. 12th house is foreign travel. But the 7th aspect of Mars is more about confrontation. 12th house is foreign people, multinational companies. So You can get into conflicts with people, in multinational companies, especially if you work for one or, work with one, and with foreign people. Also, 12th house is your hidden enemies. So, maybe you discover who your hidden enemies are. You get into conflict with them. Now, 8th aspect of Mars is falling on the ascendant. Your physical health, your physical body. So, there could be sudden changes and transformation with this aspect. Sudden changes with your health. Sudden changes with you. Especially with them being, Mars, Venus, and Saturn in the 6th house, there can be health issues. There can be accidents. So be careful. If you know you're having some kind of health issue, make sure you get yourself checked out. Stay on top of that. And otherwise, just be safe. If you're driving somewhere, wear your damn seatbelt. Okay. Done with my little PSA. Moving on to Libra. Alright, Libra. So, Sun's in Pisces now. Pisces is your 6th house. So this is where your focus is. With Mercury and Rahu. So 6th house is your everyday work. Everyday routines. It's your coworkers. It's health issues. Accidents. It's your maternal aunts and uncles. It's your pets. It's debt. Everyday work and everyday routines, if I forgot to mention that. It's also your enemies. So, this is what you're focused on. But, Mars is in your 5th house. Energizing the 5th house, with Venus and Saturn sitting there. So, 5th house is romance, fun and games, children. It's your students, your subordinates. So, what do we see with... 5th house is also speculative gains through stock market, gambling. Alright, so what we see with this is definitely there can be issues with your children, if you have children. With your students, with your subordinates. There can be health issues, there can be conflict, especially with Mars energizing the 5th house of children, Sun being focused on the 6th house of health issues, accidents. Keep a close eye on your children. 6th house is also conflict. So you could be having conflict with your children, especially with Mars and Saturn, 2 malefics being there in the 5th house. But definitely health issues and conflict can be there. So, keep an eye on your children. Don't be, too domineering, but, take care of them. Stay on top of it. Now, for education, this is going to make you work like a workhorse towards your education. Especially for competition, this can be very good. Mars is energizing the 5th house of sports. Sun is focused on the 6th house of competition and enemies. This can be very good for sports and competition. Also, there can be romance here with Mars and Venus being in the 5th house. But alright, now let's talk about the aspects of Mars. So Mars has a 4th, a 7th, and an 8th aspect. 4th aspect of conquest is falling on your 8th house. So, 8th house is sex. Mars is energizing the house of romance. Most people want sex when they have romance. So, definitely we see that could be there. But 8th house is also joint finances and relationships and business. It's your in-laws. It's research, the occult, inheritance, taxes, death. Sudden ups and downs and transformation. So we see you can be overly domineering when it comes to these areas of life. Hopefully you're not being overly domineering in your sex life. But you could be overly domineering with, joint finances, with your in-laws. So be aware of that. Now, 7th aspect of Mars brings confrontation. And it's falling on the 11th house. 11th house is your elder siblings. It's your friends. Large organizations, network circles. It's your paternal aunts and uncles. So you can get into conflict with all these people. So try not to. Now, 8th aspect brings sun ups and downs and transformation. It's falling on the 12th house. So 12th house is losses. It's investments. It's foreign travel. It's spirituality. It's also a house of sex, bed pleasure, sex and sleep. So it can be sudden changes with your sex life. Congrats. There can be sudden changes with your investments. Hopefully for the better. I mean, Mars is energizing the house of speculative gain. There can be sudden changes, with losses. Gamble too much, you're eventually going to lose. So there can be sudden losses. Be careful with that. But also there can be a sudden change in your spiritual beliefs and your spirituality. There could be sudden travels. That can also be there. Although with your transits, I wouldn't say so much with Mars in the 5th and Sun in the 6th. But definitely there could be a change of your spiritual beliefs. There could be sudden losses. Also, 12th house is hidden enemies. So there could be sudden hidden enemies. So be careful with that. Alright. Moving on to Scorpio. Alright, Scorpio. I need a drink. 1 second. Okay. So, Sun, your focus has moved into the 5th house in Pisces with Mercury and Rahu and Neptune. So, 5th house is romance, fun and games, children. It's education. It's your students and your subordinates. It's sports, cinema, creativity. So, we see that you're focused on all these things. Especially with Mars being in your 4th house. Mars is your energy and drive. It's energizing your 4th house. 4th house is home, land, real estate. It's vehicles. It's your mother. It's your comfort and your happiness. It's there with Venus and Saturn. So your 4th house is being energized during this transit. There could be a lot going on at your home during this time. But there can also be difficulty at home with Mars and Saturn, 2 malefics being there. There can definitely be car trouble as well. Especially being conjunct with Venus. Now, there can also be difficulty with your mother. Your mother could be having health issues during this transit. Or just difficulty in general. Now, with Sun, your focus being on the 5th house of education and children. There could be a lot going on at home and you're worried about your kids. You're trying to focus on your education. Now, let's talk about the aspects of Mars. So Mars has a 4th, 7th, and 8th aspect. The 4th aspect of conquest is falling on the 7th house. So, Sun's focused on romance, but you're wanting to conquer the 7th house of relationships, business, all the people you meet out in the world. It's also 10th from the 10th, higher form of your status and career. So these are the areas you want to conquer. You can be overly domineering with the people that you meet. And especially when it comes to relationships. You want to be in a relationship. So you might be overly domineering. If you're already in a relationship, you can definitely be overly domineering. And with Mars, Venus, and Saturn in the 4th house, that can cause issues at home. Now, 7th aspect of Mars is all about confrontation. It's falling on the 10th house of your workplace, your managers, your bosses, co-workers. So definitely there could be conflicts with all these people. Also, 4th house is local government. 10th house is national government, federal government. So, hopefully you're not getting into conflict with the government, because that could also be there. Now, the 8th aspect brings sudden ups and downs and transformation. It's falling on your 11th house. 11th house is your elder sibling or elder siblings, your paternal aunts and uncles. It's your friends, your network circles, large organizations. It's your gains. It's your hopes, wishes, desires. So there can be sudden changes with your elder siblings, with your paternal aunts and uncles, your friends. There could be a sudden change in your desires. There could be sudden gains even. But alright, moving on to Sagittarius. Alright, Sagittarius. So, Sun, your focus is in the 4th house. 4th house with Neptune, Mercury, and Rahu. So, 4th house is home, land, real estate. It's vehicles. It's your comfort, your happiness, your mother. So, this is where you're focused right now. And Mars is energizing your 3rd house with Venus and Saturn there. So, 3rd house is your younger siblings. It's your neighbors, your cousins. It's media, your skills. It's communication of all kinds, including writing. It's short distance travel. 3rd house is efforts. So one thing we see here is there could be health issues with your younger sibling, with your cousins. And if not health issues, then they're just having a hard time. There could be conflict with them as well. Mars and Saturn can bring difficulty. I mean, Mars can naturally bring conflict on its own. With Saturn, it could be worse. That's like oil and fire coming together. But this is very good for putting forth effort in your life. But yeah, especially, if you live with your younger sibling, you're focused on the 4th house of home and mother. And, your dealings with the younger sibling are being energized with this. With your neighbors are being energized. Maybe you're having issues with your neighbors. And you're focused on your home because of that. Focused on your vehicle while you're, Mars is energizing your 3rd house of short distance travel. You can get into conflict with people online. Try not to be a keyboard warrior. Alright, now let's look at the aspects of Mars. So Mars has a 4th, 7th, and 8th aspect. The 4th aspect brings brings conquest. It's all about conquest. It's falling on the 6th house. The 6th house is your maternal aunts and uncles. It's your enemies. It's your pets. Your coworkers. It's health issues, accidents. It's your everyday work, everyday routines. It's debt. So you want to conquer these people in these areas of life. Mars is giving you the energy to defeat your enemies. To do your work. 6th house's work. To overcome your debt. But Mars can cause you to be a bit over-domineering when it comes to your maternal aunts and uncles, your coworkers, your pets. Don't be an asshole. Take good care of your dog. Or whatever other pet you have. So we see that with the 4th aspect of Mars. 7th aspect is all about confrontation. It's falling on the 9th house. 9th house is father figures. It's your teachers. So, it's also higher education. There could be conflicts with all these people. 9th house is religion, philosophy, the law. There could be conflicts with religious people. With people in the law. Get into conflict with a lawyer or a judge. Be careful with that. Mars shows you want to over-domineer and conquer the 6th house. 6th house is also legal dispute. So be careful. You could land yourself in trouble. 8th aspect of Mars brings sudden ups and downs and transformation. It's falling on the 10th house. 10th house is career, status. It's your workplace. It's your karmic actions that the world notices. So even if you're retired, this is still an important house. It's a house of reputation. So there can be sudden changes in your workplace right now. Sudden change in your career. There could be a change with your managers, your bosses. Maybe you get a new manager. But there can definitely be big changes at work. Alright. Moving on to Capricorn. Capricorn, I need a drink. 1 second. Okay. So, Sun, your focus, has moved into the 3rd house in Pisces. With Neptune, Mercury, and Rahu. So, 3rd house is your younger siblings, your cousins, your neighbors. It's media, communications of all kinds, including writing, short distance travel. It's your skills, your efforts. It's sports. It's 8th from the 8th house, so it's the higher form of transformation, especially with Sun being your 8th lord there. So we see this is where you're focused, though. Now, Mars is energizing your 2nd house with Venus and Saturn. So, energizing your 2nd house of family, finances, speech. So definitely, with your focus being on the 3rd house of communication, there can be a lot going on with your communication. You could be communicating a lot during this time. There can be conflict with your family. There can be conflict with your younger sibling, with your cousins. Because the 2nd house of family is being energized right now. And Mars and Saturn, definitely there can be difficulty for your family right now during this transit. Because there are 2 malefics in the 2nd house of family. Now, one area this is really good is finances. Mars is energizing your money. Saturn and Mars, when they're together, make you a workhorse. So you can definitely be making more money with them here. Now, let's talk about the aspects. Mars has a 4th aspect of conquest, a 7th aspect of confrontation, and an 8th aspect of sun ups and downs and transformation. So, 4th aspect is falling on the 5th house. 5th house is romance, fun and games, education, speculative gains, through business, through stock market, through gambling. It's your children, your students, your subordinates. So, you want to conquer these areas of life. You want to conquer your education. You want to conquer, your creativity. 5th house is creativity. It's sports. So you want to conquer all of that. You can be overly domineering with your children, with your students and subordinates during this transit, so be careful. Don't be too harsh on them. Now, 7th aspect of confrontation is falling on the 8th house. 8th house is your in-laws. So, definitely be careful with this. You'll land yourself in some hot water. Now, 8th aspect brings sun ups and downs and transformation. It's falling on the 9th house. So, 9th house is your father figures, your mentors, teachers. It's religion, philosophy, the law. It's long distance travel, publishing. It's your higher education. So there can be sudden changes with these people in these areas of life. There could be sudden change with your father. Remember, I said there could be health issues in the family. So there could be a sudden change with your father figures, with your mentors, your teachers, your education. There could be a sudden travels that take place. There could be a sudden change of your religious and philosophical beliefs. Okay, that's what I have for you, Capricorn. Aquarius. Alright, Aquarius. So, Sun, your focus is in the 2nd house with Neptune, Mercury, and Rahu. So, second house is your family, your earnings, your savings. It's your speech. So, you're very focused on your family and your finances right now, mainly. Now, Mars is energizing your first house with Venus and Saturn here. So, first house is you, your physical body. So, Mars is making you like a superhero during this transit, giving you the energy in your life to accomplish your goals. But it's there with another malefic, Saturn. Definitely, there can be health issues. There can be accidents during this transit. So be careful. If you know you're having health issues, get checked. Go to the doctor. Don't put it off. Now, let's talk about the aspects of Mars. Mars has a 4th, a 7th, and an 8th aspect. 4th aspect is about conquest. That's the second time I've done that. Okay. Conquest. It's falling on the 4th house. So, 4th house is home, land, real estate. It's vehicles. It's your mother. Your comfort, your happiness. So, you can get into conflict with people at home because you're overly domineering. You can get into conflict with your mother because you're overly domineering. You could want to get a new home, new car. You could want to renovate a home, repair a car. Now, the 7th aspect brings confrontation. It's falling on the 7th house of relationships, business, all the people out in the world. So there can be a lot of conflict during this transit. But Mars in the ascendant gives you the strength to overcome that. It gives you the strength to deal with whatever is being brought your way. But you can definitely be overly confrontational in relationships and with your business partner. So be careful there. 8th aspect brings sudden ups and downs and transformation, and it's falling on the 8th house. So there can definitely be a sudden change in your life. There could be a sudden change in your joint finances, in relationships or business. There could be a sudden change with your in-laws. Sudden change with, your occult practices, with your research. There can be a sudden change with an inheritance, with your taxes. Okay. Also, there could be, 8th house of surgery. There could be a surgery with this, especially if you know you're having health issues. That 8th aspect, sudden surgery, could be there. Okay. Moving on to Pisces. Alright, Pisces. Sun, your focus is in the first house. You're focused on you, your physical health, your body. Okay. Now, why are you focused on you and your physical health? Well, Mars is energizing your 12th house. 12th house is hospitals. So, you could be focused on you because of health matters. Because Mars is energizing the 12th house. Now, 12th house is also losses. So you could be, losing too much during this transit. 12th house is also spirituality. It's bed pleasure, sex and sleep. It's foreign travel. So definitely, there can be travel that's going on. There can be health issues, mainly is what I see with this. Health, financial issues, spirituality being a big focus. Now, with Mars and Saturn being here, those are two malefics. Now, Saturn being there can be good for losses, actually. It can kind of suppress those losses. But with Mars, that's putting oil and fire together. So it's really going to burn your money. So be careful with that. Also, 12th house is your feet. There could be health issues with your feet, actually, in particular with this. I don't know why I feel the need to mention that, but maybe somebody needs to hear it. But 12th house is hospitals in general, so definitely there could be a trip to the hospital. Especially if you know you're in bad health. Okay, now let's talk about the aspects of Mars. Mars has a 4th, 7th, and an 8th aspect. 4th aspect is about conquest. It's falling in your 3rd house. 3rd house is your younger siblings. It's your cousins, your neighbors. Short distance travel. Communications of all kinds, including writing. It's media. Your skills, your efforts. It's sports. Hopefully you don't get injured playing sports. But you can be overly domineering with your younger siblings, with your cousins, your neighbors. There can be a lot of travel during this time. Mars is in the 12th house of foreign travel. 3rd house, while being short distance travel, is also the 12th from the 4th house. It's the foreign place from your homeland. So you could be traveling to far off places during this transit, especially with Saturn being your 12th lord of foreign travel. But you could be wanting to learn new skills. Maybe you're wanting to learn a foreign language because you know you're going on a foreign trip. That could be there too. Now, 7th aspect brings confrontation. It's falling on the 6th house. 6th house is your maternal aunts and uncles. It's your coworkers. It's your enemies. So there can be a lot of conflict during this time. And 12th house is hidden enemies. So you could be dealing with a lot of enemies during this transit too. Now, 8th aspect brings sudden ups and downs and transformation. It's falling on the 7th house of relationships, business. Also, 7th house is 10th from the 10th, higher form of your status and career. So there can be sudden changes with your relationship. There can be sudden changes with your business partner. Sudden change in your status can be there. Okay, that's what I have for all of you. So, a big thing to keep in mind is that Mars and Saturn, when they're together, can definitely show conflict. They can show health issues, difficulty. So especially where Mars and Saturn are sitting, keep that in mind. But alright, if you all like my videos, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out me and the channel. And if you'd like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart, a personal tarot reading, or an astrology consultation, links to those will be in the description box and the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.